It started with a phone call I never expected. Louis, we need you. The voice on the line said, urgent and shaky. It was Marco, Giacomo's personal assistant. He has had an accident. The doctors say he does not remember the last year, including his marriage. They insist you are the only one who can help him recover. I froze. My stomach sank. Giacomo, my ex husband, a man I had left after a messy year of arguments, misunderstandings, and heartbreak. And now he was lying in his villa, injured, alone, and helpless. I wanted to say no. I wanted to turn my back and never see him again. But then I thought of the alternative. He was vulnerable. The doctors were clear. If I did not help, he might never recover, might remain lost in that fog forever. I could abandon him as much as I wanted to, or I could step in. I decided to step in. The villa looked as imposing as ever. Snow pressed against the tall windows, cold and silent. I felt a chill that had nothing to do with the weather. And then I saw him, Giacomo, lying on the couch, pale, bandaged, and utterly unaware that I existed. He looked up, eyes blinking, confusion clouding them. Louis? He asked, voice weak. I swallowed. Yes, it's me. I'm here to help. He blinked again, frowning. You, we. His brow furrowed. I don't remember. There it was, the gap, where I had lived in his life for a year. My chest tightened. I know, I said softly. That's why I'm here. I'll help you remember everything. All of it. He looked at me, suspicious and annoyed. You, why are you helping me? I hesitated. I was not ready to tell him the truth, that I was still hurting, still angry, and still unwilling to forgive him for how things ended. Because it's the right thing to do, I said carefully. The doctor said I'm the only one who can help, and I don't want you to suffer alone. He stared at me for a moment, then smirked. You have never been much for sacrifice. Are you sure it's not some other reason? I glared. Don't push me, Giacomo. That was the first taste of his old dominance, arrogance, the same sharp, commanding presence that had once made me melt and resist him at the same time. But now I was determined not to give in. The first few days were tense. I cooked and cared for him, guiding him through the simplest task. Physically, he needed help. He resisted some things, arguing as though he still had a sharp temper. But there were moments, small flashes, where he would glance at me, almost as if recognition was trying to surface. You know, he said one morning, voice low and teasing, I never expected my ex wife to cook for me, especially one who looks so capable. I stiffened. I'm not doing this for compliments. I'm doing it because you need help. He smirked, stepping closer. That's so noble of you. I like that. But don't think I won't enjoy your company while you do it. I rolled my eyes, keeping my distance. I was not going to let him charm me, not yet. The days blurred together, snow falling outside, the fire crackling in the evenings. Giacomo slowly regaining small fragments of memory. Sometimes he would laugh at a memory he could not place, sometimes frown, frustrated by the gaps in his recollection. And every time I reminded myself why I was here, to help him, not to fall back into old habits. One afternoon he called me into the study. I found him shirtless, hunched over paperwork. My pulse quickened, and I forced myself to look away. Louis, he said without looking at me, I need your opinion. Can you focus? Or will you faint at the sight of me? I crossed my arms, holding back heat in my cheeks. I'm here to help, not to be distracted. He chuckled, that deep, infuriating laugh. Good. That's what I like. Determined, stubborn, like always. I wanted to snap, to leave the room, but I stayed. I could not let him see how much his presence still affected me. Christmas Eve arrived. The villa was quiet, snow blanketing the grounds. I carried a tray of cocoa to the living room where Giacomo was reading. And he looked up, eyes lingering on me longer than usual. Louis, he said softly, do you remember everything about us? I hesitated. I remembered the fights, the laughter, the stolen moments of tenderness, the heartbreak. I remember everything. I admitted, voice barely a whisper. He studied me, and for the first time in days, the tension between us shifted. He stepped closer, gently taking my hand. And you, do you still care? I did not answer at first. My chest tightened, memories and emotions swirling. But then, with a steady breath, I whispered, I care enough to help you, even if you don't remember. He nodded, and I saw something soften in his eyes. That was enough, for now. The first kiss came unexpectedly. I was adjusting the pillows on the couch when he reached for mine, his fingers brushing against mine. I tensed and he caught my wrist, holding it gently. You've been resisting, he said, voice low, teasing. Why fight it? I pulled back. I'm not ready. He smirked. Maybe you never are, but some things cannot be ignored. Before I could respond, he pressed his lips to mine. It was sudden, demanding, and yet careful. I pressed my hands against his chest, trying to push him away, but I did not. His mouth moved over mine with an insistence that made my heart race. When he finally pulled back, I gasped, cheeks flushed, chest heaving. Giacomo, I whispered. Don't resist too long, he murmured, smirk returning. You might forget what it feels like. Over the next few days, memories returned in fragments. A song on the radio would make him smile with recognition. A joke, a phrase he had used before, brought laughter and warmth back to his eyes. And through it all, I remained cautious, careful not to let myself fall completely. It was Christmas night. Snow fell softly outside, the villa warm with firelight. Giacomo had just recalled a memory. Our first fight over trivial things that now seemed trivial indeed. We laughed quietly, the air between us charged with familiarity and something deeper. He turned to me, gaze intense. Louis, you've been here for me all this time. You never left. I felt my resistance crumble. I could not when you were like this. He stepped closer, cupping my face in his hands. I don't care about memories anymore. I care about you. I care about now, about us. And then he kissed me, slow, deep, reclaiming. My hand slipped around his neck, pulling him closer as the years of pain, distance, and anger melted away. It was not just a kiss, it was a promise, a confession, a beginning. When he finally pulled back, he rested his forehead against mine. Merry Christmas, Louis, he said softly. Merry Christmas, Giacomo, I whispered, tears in my eyes, a smile breaking through.